So now we're at this point in our program where we have declared some primitive types, two arrays, a string, and let's just run this to make sure everything's running fine. Perfect. So now, the thing is now that I have this array and I might want to access a certain element. So to do that, I'm going to use a slightly new notation. So to do that, I would write, let's go back for a second. Let's say I wanted to reassign I the value 10. I'd say I is equal to 10. And what that would do is that would come into here, there is an I, and it would put the value 10 in there, right? Well, now I want to change the array. But the thing is I have to specify which one I want to change. Do I want to change element 1, element 2, or element 3? And so I have to indicate which element. And this is really where a really important idea comes up. Arrays have elements, and those elements can be accessed by specifying their index. Indexes always start at 0, so the very first element has an index of 0, the second element has an index of 1, and the third element has an index of 2, and so on and so forth. So in order to, if I want to put a value in the first element, I'm going to have to say iArray at index 0 is equal to, and then let's say 7. Oops. So what that line's going to do is it's going to come into here. Just erase that. And then it's going to put the value 7 into here. Likewise, I can then output this. So I can say system.out.println, and I'm just going to say value is, and I'll say iArray plus iArray at element 7. So what this does is it prints out the value in iArray. So what it does is it says, oh, iArray, and I want index, I don't want index 7, I want index 0, It will print out 7. So now when I run this, the value is 7. And we can access these in all sorts of ways. If let's say I went up here and I changed the value I to 1, and so what that is going to do is it's going to go up here into my picture and it's going to put the value 1 in there. So if I wanted to output something again, I could say here system.out.println, and I could say value is, and instead of saying a number in there, I could say iArray at element I, meaning the computer will look and say the element I is 1, and so it's going to say iArray at 1. And right now, if we look, we can see the value there is 0. So if I run this, no problem. So let's change this just a little bit here. Can you tell me what the problem is if I make this 9? So I've reset I to 9, and so therefore I now has this value of 9. Okay. So what we see is that it's going to want to print out iArray at 0, which has the value 7, and then it's going to want to print out the iArray at index I, and I has the value of 9. Well, notice what the problem is. It's that the array iArray only has 3 indexes, or 3 elements. So 9 is way too big. So you'd think that if I built this, and remember, building a file is the process of compiling it, that is taking the English and turning it into a language the computer understands. You'd think it crashes, but it doesn't. This is called a runtime error. It's only going to show up when you actually run the file. So you run it, and you get this very specific error. Array index out of bound exception. So what this is saying is, hey, you have this array called iArray, and you're trying to access index 9, and there's no index 9, you're out of bounds. And so really watch for that. That's probably the most common error that's going to appear. The second error that will be really common to appear is, notice how I've removed the indexes. So now I'm just outputting iArray. And remember, since iArray is a reference variable, the value in iArray is going to be a reference to somewhere in memory. And if I run that, there's that memory reference right here. So anytime you see some funny combination of letters, it's a memory reference. Good luck.